Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of our adventures in Washington, D.C. and in New York City. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different because we had recorded a lot the day before, and I think the girls were a little bit tired of just recording stuff. So we took a lot of small video clips while we went to the Holocaust Museum and to the American History Museum. So we're going to walk through those. It is a little bit more of a talk through today than before, but if you've never been to the Holocaust Museum or to the American History Museum, this will be a good opportunity to kind of see what's in. So let's get started. Alright, we started off our day heading back into Washington, and Denisha was able to join us, and we headed over to the Holocaust Museum to start with. Now, this museum was very summer and something that wasn't really taken as a this is going to be fun. It was really more educational, and there was a lot of reading in it, so I would forewarn anybody that hasn't been, if you don't want to read through all of it, it can be a little complicated. I'm not sure if they have an audio tour or not, but it would be really helpful. And we didn't really take a lot of pictures because there was just a lot in there. Okay, so let's talk about what we learned in the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. What was interesting and what was kind of alarming. So I'm going to pull up this second page right here, and I know nobody likes PowerPoint presentations, but I think it's important to realize the hardest part about going through this exhibit was seeing there's a lot of stuff happening today in the Republican Party that mirrors exactly what the Nazis did. And I know nobody wants, a political statement inside of family video, but it is something that, for me, I took away going, these are the things that led up to the Holocaust, and those that don't learn from history are bound to repeat it. So just wanted to share it here. A couple different things, really the Nazis utilized Christian anti-Semitism against Jews, which is something that we kind of see today, where there's a persecution complex that's put on Christians to say that, they've got to defend Christianity in America at all cost. Everybody's out to get them. And sometimes that's not really true. There was an ideology fueled inside the Nazi Party for the citizens that it was life or death. They had to defend the party for a life of death. And around here, we hear a lot about freedom. And if you're not all about freedom, it's completely un-American to question anything about freedom, guns, the economy, religion. It's all just sort of un-American if you don't just blindly agree to it sometimes. They took control of mass media, so they had a propaganda, I don't remember the official title, but it was somebody who was over propaganda in the media in general. Whereas now, today, we have places inside the party that have created their own mass media when general media didn't meet their needs or didn't let them say whatever they wanted to say. There was a huge fear that had been fueled about the media and professionals. And by professionals, I mean doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, basically anybody who had taken time in their life to learn about the profession. And there was fear fueled through the citizens that, they don't know what they're talking about. They're out to get you. They're liberal. And those are all things that we unfortunately hear today from the exact same party. There's no trust in the media. They don't trust professionals. I mean, we had a worldwide pandemic and doctors and nurses became the enemy. Even though they had spent their entire lives trying to save people and going to school for it, yet they became the enemy. Teachers are the enemy because, they're trying to indoctrinate children. It's just a lot of the same fear-mongering that we hear today. The Nazi Party burned books. I think that's something that is very familiar to a lot of people. And we have a party today that's trying to ban school books, that don't align with the ideology or, create scenarios that don't actually exist. No school teachers trying to make, kids see different about the gay community by giving them a school book about two penguins and a pebble. Like, that's not something that's actually happening. The Nazis, obviously, they blamed Jews and they blamed a lot of other minorities. The Jews got the brunt of it by all means because they were the largest population, but so did blacks, so did Irish, so did Chinese. Like, anybody who had immigrated to Germany at that time was under fire from the Nazi Party because they were being blamed for causing all the issues that were happening in Germany. And we're no different today. Immigration can be a big issue, sure, but most people don't even know that most illegal immigrants come from visas and just overstaying their visa. The majority aren't coming from the border. But that's that's the enemy that is out there right now. It is people that are being blamed for, things that are happening in Nebraska and Oklahoma and Tennessee and Alabama. All these people are afraid of immigrants, but if they look outside their own door, if they talk about their daily lives, they're not impacted by immigration at all. But they are the enemy. It's an unknown fear factor. And a lot of this, to kind of go into it a little bit more, a lot of this did stem from something that we are experiencing here. The Germans had lost World War I. There was an economic downturn. People were losing their jobs. Economically, people didn't feel like they were in a good space. There was a lot of hunger. And that kind of leads to who the Republicans and the Nazis both targeted. They targeted lower educated citizens and they targeted lower economic people because there was this thing of their life isn't good, and it's much easier to blame a them or a they, like immigrants or minorities, than it is to turn around and go, hey, maybe we've just messed something up on our own, whether it's an individual or, the society and the state that they're coming from. So those really went hand in hand. It was actually very terrifying. But I think the biggest thing and what really led to such this focus on the Jews, and again, we're kind of seeing it today, is they rolled back progressive legislation. So Jews were ingrained in the system inside Germany. It wasn't like they just appeared. They owned businesses. They held public offices. In some places, they were held in high regard for their professions. But the Germans went through and rolled back all of that legislation that made them full-fledged citizens. And we're unfortunately kind of seeing the same thing today. Roe v. Wade being rolled back. Presidential powers being rolled back. There were a lot of things, like the Nazis didn't just jump in and immediately make everything happen. We didn't go from 1933 to World War II just like that. There was a build up to it. And I think it's important for people to know that. That's what I took away more than anything from the museum. Yes, it was heartbreaking and it was terrible. And, I think what people don't understand is when we talk about comparing two political parties, one from the past and one from the present, I think it's just sort of disregarded as like, oh, it's hyperbole. No, in reality, there were a lot of signs from 1933 on that we're seeing today. So I just caution everybody to not take it lightly. I know Team Red, Team Blue is a whole nother issue, but don't just leave it up to, what I believe in a political party. Also look at what they're actually trying to do. And we have enough history now to go back and look to see, hey, has this happened somewhere before? So I'm going to get off the political soapbox right now, but just understand, for me, that's what I took, and my cousin, who we were both there, that's really what we took away. Is that, yeah, there's a lot of scary things that are happening today from a particular political party that also line up exactly with what the Nazis were doing. So I just caution everybody. So, all right, let's get back to the fun part of the day, because from here, we actually head over to the American History Museum and get more Merica. All right, once we headed over to the National Museum of American History, this was another one where we had to have a reservation for, and you go in and there's a lot of just America in your face, which was cool. I mean, I loved it, and I actually loved kind of coming from the Holocaust Museum to kind of get that injection of freedom and really what we were fighting for. So one of the things that the girls and I have learned is when we go to museums, we actually like to start at the top and then work our way down. So the first section that we walked over to was on the third floor, and it was really about the history of American wars. Again, kind of ironic considering where we just came from. But here, there was a lot of stuff about the American Revolution. Some of it was kind of neat. I actually loved the model soldiers or the statues that they had that you kind of got a real life look at. There were things here like the Constitution, and it really took you through the journey of why America was looking to be free and what they wanted to do. Now, again, a little bit of a drawback here, still a lot of reading, but definitely a lot more hands-on. This one was really weird where you got to smell inside different exhibits and you got to smell what they had. The dried meat was not a good smell by any means. I don't know why that was even in there. But you got to go through, and it was a lot more hands-on. So here, Jasmine's learning how to load a musket, and it would walk you through those steps. All right, after that, we got to see a little bit of how the muskets got loaded. There was a neat thing there, I don't think we got it on film, where you actually got to see like how long it would take to load, and there was a little bit of an explanation as to why they would stand in lines. Because that was a fun thing when we talked to the girls, that they didn't really understand. Oh no, you just stand there and they would shoot at you and you'd shoot back at them. So that was a little bit of a foreign concept. This cannon right here kept almost counting down like it was going to explode, but there was never a massive explosion. So we thought something was going to happen, but it never actually did. And then we got to the part where there were a little bit more artifacts from that time frame. So back there we saw a tablecloth that was around during the American Revolution time frame. There were things from, you know, here's something from a submerged warfare. In a few minutes we're going to take a look at like a boat decking that was there. That's actually George Washington's farewell sword that he had with him. So that was just a neat piece of history. Obviously we jumped ahead into the War of 1812. And the Mexican Revolution that was, excuse me, that was part of that. That one was a little bit hard. This picture right here, I don't think it was the real picture because you could actually see through it on the other side. But I told the girls, I'm like, through growing up in school, you'll see that a lot in history books. There were more, you know, life-size cannons that we have here. We're eventually going to make our way over to the Civil War. Oh, we are at the Civil War. Look at that. And this one was kind of off to itself. So as you're going through the museum and you branch off to the right and then make a circle back around. One of the things that we actually talked about during this time frame, and I still need to go back and do some research on, was how exactly did Abraham Lincoln get elected? You know, today he's sort of a hero of the American folklore, but when we were going through it, you know, he didn't really win a lot of electoral votes. He didn't really have the full nominee of his power, you know, and this idea that he was willing to sacrifice, you know, slavery just to keep the Union together, that was kind of his main focus. So he was kind of right in the middle, which is a really weird stance to be in. After Civil War, we headed over towards more of the modern wars. So there was a little bit about the Mexican War, and then we head over towards World War I and World War II. Here we're learning how to be a riveter. This is sort of the Rosie the Riveter section. We never could fully understand what we were supposed to do right here, but you're supposed to just like rivet in these lights until they're turned green, and you should be able to do all of those in 30 seconds or less. Janelle's getting red lights, so whatever she was doing, she wasn't doing right. I think we got 3 was the most we ever got. Then we sort of entered into the media or propaganda part of World War II. And we see Donald Duck and obviously the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or the Seven Dwarfs specifically. But there were other cartoons, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. They were going around just sort of showing all the things that were used during that time frame to encourage people to participate in the war, whether it was as a soldier or as a patron for war bonds, or just getting in the factories and doing work. So we ended up and we finished up with World War II ending, and then we sort of migrated around and looked at a few more things. From there, we sort of move into the Cold War era. So World War II is over, and we start to talk about like the atomic age, and you know, this is where like Kennedy and the Korean War and World War II and the atomic bomb really start to come into play. Vietnam is going to start creeping its way here in a minute. But I think this was really good if you needed to understand what exactly the Cold War was, why we got into the Korean War. And it was really a good transition from World War II into something like Vietnam and eventually into modern wars of today. Here they've got it set up so you're kind of in the late 60s, early 70s, and really what was going on. I actually loved the Huey helicopter that was in here because that was such a modern staple of World War II that I appreciated that they had it on full display right here in the middle. They did have a section for prisoners of war. In here, we kind of got to explain what exactly a prisoner of war was. The girls that had seen the POW and the MIA flag flying above the Capitol earlier the day before. So this was a good opportunity to kind of showcase, okay, this is what exactly those are. And what does that mean? What's the difference between a POW and somebody who's missing in action? From there, we transition over into the falling of the Berlin War, and then the new American role. So one of the things that Denisha and I talked about is this is kind of a slap in the face to me, to those that have fought in Desert Storm and in the War on Terror, because there was so much focus put on the other wars. I mean, let's be honest, the Desert Storm, Desert Strike was what, 30 years ago? So they should deserve their own exhibit at this point. I know some of the stuff may be classified, and again, you know, you don't really learn fully about war until it's all said and done. But if I served in either of these wars, and, you know, having friends that didn't, I think they deserved a little bit more than just sort of like a combined, this is the new era. And then we jump over to like the Medal of Honor. So if I had one thing that I would go back as far as this section, it would be to expand really what happened during Desert Strike, Desert Storm, and the wars in Afghan, the War on Terror, because those people deserve, those soldiers, the people that were involved, they deserve a lot more credit, I think, than they're getting nowadays. You know, we definitely had World War II. Those are still like the heroes of the day. But truly, we do have true American heroes right now that have fought in, you know, desert and mountainous terrains for 30 some odd years now. And I think they deserve a little bit more. Here they had a replica of, and I don't remember the name of the ship. I actually think I get it on the way out. But those little dots down there are actually showing the ship is decaying. And whenever they have pieces that just fall off, there you go, Gunboat Philadelphia. As they fall off, they just sort of mark it there on the floor. From there, we make a quick stop through their Hall of Presidents and see a lot of memorabilia from there. We actually went at the back way, so it kind of didn't work for filming purposes. But then we headed over to the Hall of American Culture. And I think this is where it actually started to get interesting for the girls, because they had seen a lot of, you know, war and sadness early in the day. So this kind of became really the entertainment section of American history. We started off there with Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, the Barnum Bailey Circus. This is one of Prince's guitars, which shockingly the girls knew who that was. There was also, you know, Hamilton's outfit from Hamilton the play, and we've got Captain America's shield. There were a couple different suits. I couldn't get everybody's in there, but that was sort of like a hodgepodge of stuff. This was The Handmaid's Tale. Again, another one of those things that's very ironic considering our topic for today. We did have some Olympic jerseys, some, you know, face masks, the 60 Minutes clock. I actually thought that was kind of neat. I didn't realize that was a real clock. I've seen the show a bunch of times, so I don't know why I didn't think that, but it was there. Golden microphone was from Oprah for her 25th anniversary show, I believe. And then, you know, there's some different sports memorabilia there. There's one of Muhammad Ali. I'm sorry, that's actually Rocky's. That's Muhammad Ali's robe that was in there. So this whole casing right here really was just a hodgepodge and a different collection of random stuff. I think it was sort of that everybody gets something that they like. The original Grover there is gross and disgusting, but I love the new blue Grover. He's super cute, and Cookie Monster there in the back. Howdy Doody was there, and then we had, you know, sci-fi women and fantasies, different costumes there. So it really was like the Cracker Barrel of American history. This was actually really neat. These were the original shoes from Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and I liked how they had just faded in with time. And then after that, we headed back to Denisha and Greg's house, and we'll see what happens from there. All right, so we've made a late discovery and figured something out that I did not realize had happened. The girls have never seen lightning bugs. So we are now out here trying to find lightning bugs. And they're tucked away back there a little bit. You might be able to see some on camera as it flashes a little bit. But the girls have never seen one. They're still a little bit tucked away in the woods back there. We had one make its way out, but they got afraid of it. So, oh, I saw one over that way. Maybe. See if we can find one. Oh, Janelle's trying. Try, get it, grab it. You got scared? Oh, here it is, right here. It just went. Get one of these. You see one? Oh, yeah, you got it. You got, oh, you did catch it. Oh, yep, it's going up. Yeah, not happening. All right, Nellie's is on the hunt. Let's see, we're looking, we're searching. Some have made their way out into the grass area. So we're trying to see where they could be.
I caught one, but I didn't cover it up and it flew away.
Very true. All right, we're gonna keep hunting. Did you catch it?
Mm-hmm.
Here, you want to take it up on the deck.
I caught one.
Oh, a slow open. And just kind of peek in at it. You see it? All right, well, she's back at it again. She's found something to do. Jasmine, go help her. Go be that middle schooler. Hunt something down.
Yeah.
There you go. Apparently we're doing the lightning bug TikTok dance. Yep. Everything turns into a TikTok dance. Everything's a TikTok dance. And that's how we ended day 2 from Washington, D.C. We finished it catching some lightning bugs, having some dinner, and then watching Beverly Hills Cop, the new one, which the girls surprisingly liked. A lot of cussing, but, you know, they've had a tough go of it, so a little cursing that they hear at school was worth it. But more importantly, they got to spend time with family, watching something that everybody enjoyed, and hopefully it's a memory that they'll always remember. So that's it for day 2. If you can, do me a huge favor. We normally don't say stuff like this, but I'd love if you could hit that subscribe button or hit the like button for the video. We're really just trying to figure out what our next steps in life are, and you know, the goal isn't to make this some giant channel, but if you're enjoying it, help us out. Just so that maybe other people can enjoy our journeys. One thing I am going to be doing in the future as we get ready to go back to school is doing a little bit more videos like this, focusing on really the widower's walk that I'm kind of on right now. And then that way maybe trying to help some other people. So some different videos are going to come out here in the future. We're definitely going to finish up the 2 weeks that we had here because there's a lot more adventure coming. But hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, really help us out. And if you know somebody else that might be interested in going to DC or some of the stuff that we're doing, by all means share the video. I mean, you don't have to. We're not begging for stuff here. But just doing the standard like and subscribe. I think Simon tipped me off the other day when he said it, like, we never really say that. So tomorrow's adventure, I'm actually not sure where we went the day after. Maybe the Air and Space Museum might be where we're headed. So look forward to that video. And other than that, we will see you, well, soon. Sorry about the political rant earlier. Just had to do it. See you later.